I found this today.
I just learned the professional way to say "I told you so." This was identified early.
This was identified early on as a likely outcome.
A likely outcome.
Likely outcome. Because you can only say "I told you so" so many times.
I haven't said it once. I can't bring myself to say "I told you so." I can't. I feel sorry for them. I think they've.
No, I prefer to say, my mental map or model was a better predictor of reality than theirs.
Yeah. I just say I listened to God and you didn't.
Yeah, that's better. That is better.
Well, that's what we did. We had a voice inside us that don't take, and we listened. So not our fault. But that's what I'm saying about Epic. I wrote a piece. Your breath is needed to breathe on your fire, or something. It's about us selling community.
Yeah, that's the one with all the images of Epic and the
the Substack post. Yeah,
we're still your mates. That was awesome. We should play that.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
No, I love it. Just the song is great. The images I love, and it's sort of like your post. You're talking about remembering Epic,
Yeah.
Because it's like, what is it now? It's 3 years. We're coming up to the 3rd anniversary. It's hard to believe it's been that long.
That's right. Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's play that.
Just trying to find it. Maybe we'll end on that. I got to find it first. Yeah. I'll find it. It's here somewhere. Yeah, and some good things. Might start with. It's going to start with Matty Rogers, but I might start. Oh, we're already live. All right. Well, we'll play Matty Rogers just to get going while people are waiting. This is Matty Rogers. Moving on. He's a brilliant guy. And you can find his stuff right here. Moving on. MattyRogers.com.
I'm moving on ever since you left.
What a voice.
I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you say. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right.
Lightning here.
I'm picking up the pieces one by one. I've taken all the photos down. I'm staring at a space now. There's not much fun without you around. I'm moving on ever since you left. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you say. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. And it ain't easy being silent when the sun goes down. And I can still hear your voice over my shoulder, but you're not there when I look around. Yeah, I'm moving on ever since you left. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you say. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. It don't feel right. No, I never will. Without you here with me. I'm sick and tired of being lonely. I don't think I can take another moment. Why'd you have to call and leave?
I got a big thunderstorm here, so you might lose me sporadically.
I'm not hearing it.
I'm moving on ever since you left. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you said. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm moving on ever since you left. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you said. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right.
That's Matty Rogers. Moving
That's
on.
awesome.
How are you, big guy?
So you're telling me that's a real person? That wasn't AI?
That's a real person singing.
Holy
Wrote the song
shit,
himself,
a real
no
person.
AI. No AI at all. Except
It's-
maybe to make the video black and white, but that's about it. That is pure
That's all
humans. But
That's cool.
yeah. And yeah, so that's it. Now, this might be our last show on Facebook, our last Sunday show on Facebook, because we're 2 or 3 days out of this digital ID, and we don't need digital ID for Rumble or Odyssey. I'm not sure about Twitter. This is from Sharon Cousins today. So we're going to be gravitating to those platforms. We've already got a healthy Rumble channel and Odyssey as well. And we shall be leaving Facebook, or basically we'll be shut out. We're not going to sign up to a digital ID to access this platform. They can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, look, they were among the worst, honestly. You know, when you're in terms of the times that they blocked posts or removed posts because they, you know, or your speech could produce harm because, you know, I'm sick of them. I find it hard to ever log back on. You know, it'll be to me. I'm looking forward to moving on, but people need to know. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't know Twitter." I say, "Well, just type in rumble.com, Café Locked Out."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not like it's.
Should get a link to that. I get my producer. Okay, producer, can you put a link to Café Locked Out Rumble in the comments, please?
Café rumble.com/cafe C/ I think that's for channel /Café Locked Out. That's the direct.
And they've got a program. So we use StreamYard, but we use StreamYard to access Facebook and these other platforms. We can actually do it for the Rumble Studio for a fraction of the cost. It costs us like $150 a month with StreamYard. So that'll come down to $25 a month. So, you know, we have things are getting done. Hey, Robin, how are you? Come on if you want, babe. There's so it's are you frozen? Am I frozen?
It's hard for me to say.
Am I frozen?
You know, with the thunderstorm and and the digital ID bill coming, changes coming, you can expect lightning, and I just hope that Florence survives the lightning and thunderstorm because
oh, she's fine. No, we love the thunderstorms. The bus rocks, and I had to pack up our stuff. And I said to Cal, it's like we're in a little yacht at sea, and we're battening down the hatches. You know what I mean? But she's pretty well airtight. You know, the only drip is through a vent up here. So, and that's only when it's really pounding down. No, we love it. A lot of people I was saying, "Oh, do you want a real bed? Do you want a real bed?" They don't realize it's like our snail shell, man. And Kelly, see, I used to let anyone in, but once Kelly joined in, she's like, this is my house. Only who I let get in. So people come to the door and they don't get past her. And I wouldn't try. And yeah, so it's great. So now it really is our little snail shell.
It says Kelly's not connected, is she? She's not missing out, is she?
No, she's on the bed. She's over there somewhere. There she is. Producing from the bed. Producing from there.
This is what's coming, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, I thought this meme sort of sums up my view.
It just shows the hypocrisy, the absolute hypocrisy of it.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't talk about hypocrisy tonight, but that's you know.
Well, look, I've got one thing to start us off with. Watch this. I've shared this. This is very powerful.
And they said that anyone that is viewed in Australia to be eroding social fabric,
that's the word,
will be held accountable.
Yeah, so if you said do civil non-compliance, you are charged with
eroding social fabric is so vague because it's subjective to their interpretation as to what is interrupting what they think is a wonderful society. It's up to them. They've put those words in place. The Australian Federal Police are using a vague term to be able to basically
do what they want.
Okay, so that's here now. So we now will expect this. This is a grandmother in England.
Hello.
Oh, Liz is here. Great.
Is this is
Helen. Helen from the police.
Anyway, they're from the police, and that's what's going to come here now. And speaking of deplorable dissidents, we have New Zealand's best. Hello. I actually can't hear. That's probably great because I don't know if I landed that thing so well. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Maybe have you got you can't hear me?
We can't hear you either. We can't hear you either.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Maybe switch off and come back on.
I see you.
I'll kick you out of the studio. Switch off, come back on.
Look, because she's blushing. It's wonderful. But I mean, we are so professional here.
That's it. That's classic Café Locked Out. It's like when Susanna's flat-faced dog fell off her bed, and then she got up to pick it up, and her ass filled the screen, and someone in the comments said, "I'm so glad she was wearing something, otherwise we all would have fallen off the bed." Pure Café Locked Out. I love it. Yeah, it's so fucking funny. Yeah,
it's been quite a year. We'll keep an eye out, and maybe Kelly can help Liz.
Yeah.
Producer, could you yell to producer?
Liz Gunn. Well, we don't have a number to it. I thought that was really. This is really disturbing with this AFP thing. I mean, this is what it is. It's aimed at people like us. You know, who have the audacity to question the government.
To be fair, I was busy feeling the fabric as they were speaking because, you don't want to go beyond the fabric. You want to support the fabric. And, so I was just feeling the fabric because, this is what I mean. It's really vague. It's basically someone they don't like or someone
that right.
feels that, which is why, our partner I wanted to talk with our friend Damo, because...
Yeah, Damo. Yeah, let's talk about him. I just want to show you this one thing, though, before we do, and this sort of links into it, but just come up. This is off from Oprah's
Marketed, most talented companies in the world with godlike technology who are trying to do one thing, and that is sequester you from your other relationships. They're either trying to get you to glued to the phone, and one of the ways they glue you to the phone is by enraging you, elevating content that makes you angry at your neighbor, elevate content that makes you start blaming the other gender or blaming immigrants for your problems.
And this is being done on purpose.
Well, they didn't start out as malicious, but I'm in marketing. We used to think that it was sex that sells. Then the algorithms found something that sells even more in terms of gluing you to a screen, and that is rage. So I'm not suggesting we censor these folks, but they will elevate content. They will figure out your political leanings, your fears, and then start elevating content that enrages you, because enragement equals engagement equals shareholder value. So keep in mind, the amount of time you spend on a screen as a young man, and biologically, your prefrontal cortex isn't as developed as a woman. It doesn't catch up until you're 25. The executive function, the need for dopa, is much more dangerous in a young man. Keep in mind that you will find they are trying to essentially convince you can have a reasonable facsimile of life on a screen.
Powerful, huh?
A facsimile of life.
Yeah.
That's right. It's I think Charles Hugh Smith, who I have been reading his work for a while, he's written a book called Ultra Processed Life.
Okay.
And so everything's ultra. Not just our food is ultra processed, but our media is ultra processed, and
our toasters.
Music is ultra processed.
Our toasters, that place I was staying at, it was lovely to let us stay there while I recuperated. I hear she's back.
I couldn't hear anything before, so I wrote I wrote a quick email of protest to that terrible American woman who's trying to gag all you Australians. And I said, let me on Café Locked Out. And she immediately responded and said, look, I'm so sorry, Liz, we won't gag you. And she put me back on Café Locked Out. I've got a direct line to her.
I actually got an FOI from her. I wanted to know if I was being censored. The first one said no. And then I thought, bullshit. And then a month later, one came back and said, oh, look, we actually had a look. And actually, you are being censored, but we're not sure that we're obligated to tell you by whom. And so we will get back to you in a month. And then
it's definitely later, not us. It's definitely not us.
Later, they get back to me and they say, we can't tell you because of the embarrassment it might cause them. Something like that.
Oh my God. Seriously, I've been talking with friends about going back to writing.
I think it's a huge story.
So I've been talking about going back to writing letters. And then we were going, pigeons. Pigeons are very quick to train, highly intelligent. We can just write to each other across the Tasman. We can have conversations by pigeon post, Michael, once they do all the censorship. Yeah.
Get pigeons.
Yeah, train them.
It's so good to see you, Liz. It's so good to see you. It really is so good to see you, baby. Seriously.
I was quite excited coming on tonight. I really was.
Cool. So was I. Say, Liz might come on, great. And then you come on, he's all silent.
It's all sign language.
It's perfect Cafe Locked Out.
It's amazing. And I think that's the thing in the face of all of it, to keep a sense of humor, in the face of all of this nonsense. This cannot last. Communism always collapses in on itself. And the amount of Marxist communist control right now is so extreme. I mean, you've got how many days before the headmistress locks you all down?
3 days. And so this is our last Sunday show on Facebook. Whatever happens, we might say, fuck Facebook. We don't treat it like that. So we're going to Rumble, Odyssey, and, whoever else will have us, where we don't need to prove who we are. I mean, I've been on Facebook since it literally came to Australia, and that's far over 17 years. So there's no need for me to prove who I am to fuckbook. It's just not.
None of these things were ever discussed with any of us. In the UK, they're saying Starmer had no mandate for anything that he's doing, but it's the same in Australia. Albanese is Oh my God, his marriage was so funny.
Yeah, it's like Elton John's marriage, you know. It's really
I loved
weird,
the next day
See,
seeing the
I'm not
lovebirds.
gay marriage, you know.
Oh, he was walking through the airport the next day and he was walking like paces ahead of her. This was not a marriage made in heaven. This was not a couple who had just got married and are madly in love. He was just striding through, we've paid off the contract. We're doing the show. And he was, it was just so loveless. It was so loveless. I mean, it must be tiring to be such a pretender.
The only person, sorry to overspeak you. The only person smiling in Australia are those up there, the politicians. You don't see the smiles in the street. The spark in the country is gone, and they just keep selling it like everything's fine, and everyone can see it's just bullshit. You know what I mean? They don't even bother really hiding it anymore. They can't be bothered because the people are broken.
Oh, it's so sad. And for Australia, which has always been such a rebel country, I was just trying to stream this live. For Australia, that's always been such a, get lost, mate. What has happened? It's all we have to do is in vast numbers say no. And there was one country, this is where I think it needs to go. I think it might be, was it Canada or the UK? And police are resigning in huge numbers. Now, if the police resign and the military stop standing with the government, it doesn't matter what pathetic laws they pass. They can't enforce anything. But it's just getting these police to wake up and stop enforcing these ridiculous globalist edicts. Just stop enforcing.
Have you seen what Mark?
All the videos, sorry, Paul, of them arresting old grandmothers in their house for a Facebook post. Sorry, Paul, what were you going to say?
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I just, Liz, did you see former police constable Mark Sexton's video?
Yes, he's a good guy, that Mark Sexton. Yeah. You can really trust what he says out of the UK. Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, and he was saying, where are all the big accounts sharing it? What were you saying, Paul?
Well, there was an order made to disregard all the evidence related to COVID. All the COVID. So there's a single point somewhere up the top that says, no, thou shalt not think, thou shalt not talk about this. And we have to get off the bottlenecks, We're far too dependent on these big platforms, and the people who like freedom, like the other day, today, I was reading it and learning more about mesh networks. How using the LoRa protocol, you just have this small device, and it allows communication, not 1980s level, but modern day encrypted, peer-to-peer for sending messages. So imagine if our community had a lot of these devices. You don't have to even join a mobile plan. You don't need a satellite plan. You just need enough people in the community. And it's not even a huge number. You can have a range of miles between base stations. We'll be able to stay in contact even if the internet goes down, even if the power goes down. So, this is the sort of solution. It's decentralized and it's actionable, and it's but no one talks about it because it's not illegal at all. They just don't want to talk about it because they can't control you, get their pound of flesh and subscriptions, and channel you to these behemoths like Facebook, which will then sit there and go, no, you're breaching community standards. And now we've got government saying, we've got a fabric of society that we're going to protect, and that fabric seems to wrap around pedophiles and murderers.
Yeah.
But this fabric doesn't want to talk about the evil that's gone on, doesn't want to look at COVID and the egregious abuses of power. And during that, there are no Royal Commission happening here in Australia yet. Shout out to John Ruddock and the other guys. So we haven't had accountability, and that's so I know that's why I bring up Mark Sexton, because he's very UK saying,
Liz,
Yeah.
I have a thing from Damien Richardson to read out.
Oh, I was wondering about Damien, and I heard that there was a ridiculous sentence for him. He is such a good man, Damien. That is crazy.
Yeah.
What's he saying? Michael?
He just wanted me to read it out, but basically, I'll just bring it up. So I think he's been ordered to contact the Jewish community and sort of make amends, really, with them for doing the Nazi salute. And if he does that, okay, I'll read this out from Jared Rennick. Former Neighbour star has been found guilty of a public Nazi salute he made in 2024. Damien Richardson performed a legal Nazi salute in public, but was not intending to display loyalty to Alfred Hitler, a magistrate says. Richardson made the gesture in 2024 during a speech for National Workers Alliance, a group that stands for the preservation of Western culture and identity. The magistrate noted that Mr. Richardson's actions did not mean he was displaying loyalty, affiliation, or obedience to Adolf Hitler. Just prior to him giving the salute, the accused was complaining of his treatment by the Age newspaper. He was saying that the Age treated him badly and essentially labeled him as a Nazi or like Hitler to shut down what some might describe as extreme right-wing views. The salute that came immediately afterwards was in a mocking gesture, perhaps aimed at the Age, perhaps aimed at himself, I don't know. It was trying to demonstrate, together with the words that followed, that he clearly wasn't Adolf Hitler and he was not a Nazi. So he's facing a $23,000 fine or a 12-month term in jail. And so I think they're getting him to reach out to the Jewish community. But what I actually think is they realize they've got a real problem. They stick Damien Richardson in jail, they might not stamp out resistance. They will blossom. Yeah. He'll become a martyr. He'll become absolutely a huge recruitment officer, basically. Loads of people will join movements to defend Damo, that stand against it. And a lot of those will be young men. So it's I think they've got a real problem on their hands. And that's why I think they offered him this make amends with the Jewish, to make it go away quietly. But Damio's pretty
and
feisty.
they're not far right. None of us is far right, Michael. Those young men who will support Damien will not be far right. I'm not far right. My God, I used to believe in bloody Bernie Sanders and Obama. I mean, how crazy! Yes, I do.
Me too.
I just,
and Ivory,
and I just woke up one day and went, the left is crazy. Their policies are crazy. They are clearly influenced by heavy Marxist communist agenda. And that does not make me or either of you or Damien far right, but it makes us rebels to this horrendous attempt to bring. Yeah, we are. And so is Damien. I met him when I came over to see your play. I met him at the airport and I just thought, what a lovely, lovely man. And he was in a lot of pain then. Yeah, I mean, they just try to put each person through absolute hell. I'll very quickly tell you with Barry, the other side has got all the resources and all the time and all the money and all the lawyers and all the rest of it. For 2 years, they've kept Barry going on this trial, and it's not even anywhere near a trial. This is a pre-trial hearing on Thursday. And blow me down today on a Sunday, he writes to me and said, I have to look at this. I've only just got home. But he says the other side wants to introduce new evidence just a few days before his Thursday trial. It is so wrong and so unfair and so weighted against the individual and the power of the state, the money of the state. It's just sickening. And he's been doing his own defense. And so they're trying to throw him around just days before. But boy, is there a lot of support around the world for him. And the beauty of that, the beauty of that is that.
How can we help with that support?
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, you could put out a little message to Barry and ask lots of your followers to send beautiful messages and to the judge, because what we're asking for is the world to keep an eye on whoever this judge is. He or she needs to be exemplary on Thursday, because Barry falls right within the Protected Disclosures Act of New Zealand of 2022. And if they say he does not qualify as a whistleblower, they show that the courts have been compromised, that there is political interference in our justice system. And they also show that we have no protection for whistleblowers in New Zealand. And that could then be used as a precedent in Australia or the UK or, you know, other Commonwealth countries, Canada. So this is a huge day on Thursday, because if we don't have whistleblower protection,
they don't want to make him a martyr, but they've got to make him a criminal. They can't just let him go. They're in a real bind there.
They're in a real bind.
Back to Damo too. The other thing about Damo is, like, in the first year of COVID, we were doing shows, I think 7 nights a week, you know, and we became quite a hit. But I
remember them. They were great.
The difference between us is Damien is a real leader, a natural leader. When I see him walking in a crowd, even the police give him respect. They don't give me any respect, but they naturally give him respect. And I've seen it constantly. And I always used to think that this man has the ability to be an incredible leader. He's so articulate, he's so courageous, and he's got a lion's heart. And I think that's another reason they're going after him any way they can. They want to make sure that they prevent him from reaching his destiny, which is maybe to become one of our great leaders. He definitely has it. You know.
Do you know? I'm thinking I could find probably dozens of Jews he could apologize to. The point is, one's not very far away, and the point, line up a panel. But the point is, he wasn't offending anyone. His comment was, "This is ridiculous. You can't even." I was thinking, if we put Damo on, I felt that we'd need to get gaffer tape around to keep my arms down, because even the Holocaust survivors would be ready to lift their arms up and at least do this. But you see, even in the law itself, they talk about exemptions of mocking. He was making the point, this is getting to the point of ridiculousness, and they go, "Oh, you're a Nazi." And can I make one further point? Because I was watching one of his recordings, and he was talking about how the ABC, because the ABC came and they were saying, "Oh, we're going to, we just want to see what's going on, and give an honest appraisal of what's," and they completely turned it into a manufactured hit piece. And I was thinking of Professor Cahill and how she handled the press when they came. And I think it's a good lesson for all of us. They would come and they'd say, "Hi, we're from the BBC. We're interested in what you're doing, and we'll portray, video them, and then do what she does and says, 'What's your name? We're holding each of you reporters individually and personally responsible if you use defamatory comment regarding, if you report on this,' and they will run away rather than report on that. Now, Damo made a mistake. He believed them, and then they manufactured a neo-Nazi in the eyes of the public, so they can now have this trial that describes them as, and he'll have to apologize to the Jews who watched the ABC and saw the misrepresentation and propaganda directed at Damien Richardson. And that's why it's so unfair. Do you know what I mean? Because if for instance, the Jews that were receiving the apology understood him like we do, and understood that he was mocking the attack on free speech, and how ridiculous it was, and he's an actor. These are all exemptions under the act, but yet they carry on as if, "Oh no, you have to do re-education." because you clearly, you couldn't mock.
Oh my
You
gosh.
couldn't mock us and the age and the media, because we're the single source of truth. And somewhere they're building this fabric of society that says we want to control your speech and we want to control your access to platforms, and that's why I'll shut up.
Oh,
he's
no.
also lost his job. He's got no income. He was sacked after it, but he's in good spirits. I send him. I've been texting him. I texted him a thing that said, "Look, I've managed to get you a job in as a light bulb replacement officer in a Jewish nursing home, but you're only allowed to use your left hand to take them down."
That's a meme.
And he laughed. Said this, and so he's in good spirits. He's a tough guy, and if they think they're going to break him, good luck.
They'll make him a real hero. Absolutely. And when a society loses its ability to laugh and get things in context, look, in a court case, the main thing you do is you go to mens rea, which is the mind of the person who's supposedly committed the crime. So did he have an intention of offending every Jewish person? I met him, and I absolutely could swear on a Bible that was not his intention. It was to have some fun, and it was to be a little bit Aussie rebellious. And that is one of the most charming traits in the Australian character, where there's this Aussie rebel and they're trying to crush that out of Australians. And you can't let it happen, because they've really crushed a lot of it out of New Zealand. And we didn't have half the rebellion instinct that you guys have. I think that's why I am a rebel, because my grandfather was born in Melbourne. So I think it's that Aussie blood in me that helped me get me through the last 5 years.
I'm glad to hear it, Liz. But human rights is universal.
Yes.
I just want to make the point that human rights applies to Australia, it applies to UK, it applies to even New Zealand. That's my point. Again, getting back to, we haven't looked at what happened in COVID. Okay, everyone's just scared. No one's been arrested. No. 6 feet apart. The whole performance, it's ridiculous, and yet we carry on as if, they lied and deceived us and, harmed a lot of us. But it's okay. No, it's not okay. Human rights means, no, it's not okay. And it's already it's getting on 5 years now. It's like a secular. They want to make that COVID era nonsense our permanent life. And I say, oh God, get the Velcro, get the tape. I'm feeling it, because the whole left and right thing, Nazi, it's really collectivist versus individual rights. You don't need a little mustache. You don't need the communist insignia. It's respecting the individual rights, and one of them is to be able to think and express. And if you can't express it, they're controlling how we even what we're allowed to think, because the fabric of society, it's that's setting the literal layers of what you're allowed to think. And it's heinous, and people need to. They need to see it for what it is.
We literally need to look at China and go, do we want to live like that? And then you need, secondly, to go and look at Agenda 2030 from the Communist Marxist United Nations. I mean, we've got Jacinda Ardern on the couch of Graham Norton's show on Friday, trying to be all cute about how she auditioned for The Hobbit. I mean, it's so nauseating. This murder.
Would she want to be the dragon?
She's a troll.
Maybe one of the horses.
One of the trolls. Lots of
But
trolls.
the thing is, she's trying to be all cute, and and he did say, "Why are you so hated in your own country?" And she went, "Oh, that just happens to politicians." No, you were brutal, and you've left a broken country, a divided country. You brought in a communist, Marxist. We hate that group, and we hate that group, and everybody's at each other's throat, which is what they do. And then you told us all to be kind once you'd unleashed your hell upon us, which is total gaslighting because you wasn't kind at all. And then she buggered off overseas and left the mess. And now she's put out a book, a film, or 2 books, and goes on every talk show. And it is so gaslighty and nauseatingly awful because overseas they think that we loved her because she's being promoted like this, because the plan is to get her to the top of the UN. And the UN is communist, and Agenda 2030 is total Marxism. And Marxism is all about controlling speech and controlling the way we live. And if anybody hasn't watched that wonderful German film, what's it called, Michael? Someone Else's Lives. Did you ever see that one?
The Lives of Others.
The Lives of Others. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's about a playwright, and it's an amazing film. And this is a spoiler alert, but it's so good because it gives you hope. And there's a horrible little bureaucratic man, and he always goes up every day. This is his job. He's got a really set mouth, goes upstairs to the apartment above this beautiful artistic playwright and his friends. And they're all down there talking about how they have freedom in East Berlin in Stasi times. And he's writing everything down. And there was one part where this playwright just waxes so lyrical about the very essence of human freedom and how we are born free and we can die free if that's our choice, and that nobody has a right to take away our freedom. And he should be writing it all down. And in this scene, it's the most powerful scene, one tear comes down his cheek. Until then, he's just been an automaton. He's just been a robot. He's been a soulless human, wasting his life as a non-participating character. And this moves him. And here's the follow-up. He doesn't write those words down. Anyway, well, I'll cut to the denouement. There's a whole lot of stuff that happens, but they finally meet at the end, one of these people, and he hands over the book, and she remembers that conversation, and she sees that he didn't write it down. And that is the salvation for his soul. Otherwise, I think he would have gone to a hell that awaits so many of these people who've betrayed their humanity in the last 5 years. But he redeemed himself. It's a redemptive film. And that's a warning to every bloody bureaucrat out there, including that American woman who seriously thinks she can throw her weight around a great nation like Australia and put her boot on all your necks and silence you. How dare she? She's not even one of you. She's not even one of you.
I know. I'm not elected this. Look, Liz, I want your address.
Okay.
We've got these now. These are now this thing here. See that?
Yeah.
It's based on a Australian native bee called the blue-banded bee. The blue-banded bee does not follow a queen, does not live in a hive, but it still pollinates flowers. So it wants to be an active part of society, but it wants to be an individual. It wants to think for itself. It wants its freedoms. And so we've got it into a symbol now, and it's doing really well. We've got a load of these. They sold out straight away.
That's
What it's for is for us to find each other. If I'm in New Zealand, I'm walking down the street, I've got my little white band, and I see you, or we've got the caps here.
Nice. I like the brown.
I can come up and go, hey, how you doing? Blue
Oh, brilliant.
And we call it bee free, but it's a blue bee, but it's basically, it's like the Christian fish, a way to us to find each other. And the thing is, it's so it's so innocent. The other people won't look, they'll think, oh, it's just a bee. They won't see it as a dangerous symbol. It's not saying hang the government or anything.
Brilliant.
It only gets dangerous if as you pass, you go. Yeah. Then you may be vibrating the social fabric, and who knows what could happen if you vibrated the social fabric in just the right way.
It could lead to a lot of good relationships. You know, if I saw you, Paul, in the street and I didn't know you, I'd go, hi, honey.
That's it, because we're in the tribe, baby. We're in the tribe. It lets us grow. Lets us
It's
find each other.
beautiful. Andrew
Yeah.
Bridgen wears a big paperclip on his lapel, and I once said to him at the end of an interview, "Oh, Andrew, I left it up because we were in such a good discussion, but did you know you've got a paperclip?" And he went, "Yes, I was given it in Scandinavia, and it was used in World War II. Same thing. It was just this unobtrusive little symbol of, you know, I'm for freedom. I'm for human freedom."
Oh, wine
But
coast as well. Yeah. This is it.
Who would
Yeah.
not be for human freedom? What is Australia going to do? What do you think is going to happen? How many awakenings are happening because of this imminent gagging of you all?
Personally, I think it's going to fall apart. It's going to be a schmozzle. But maybe they don't care. Maybe it's organized chaos. You know. Then I think Australians. I think online businesses are going to collapse because people are going to get sick of proving who they are every time they want to get on. And in Louisiana,
Yes.
they brought in these same laws, I think in 2018 or 2013 or something. They brought in the same laws, and the adult sites lost 80% of their customers overnight, and it never came back. So I think there'll be economic failures. And simply because people get sick of it, and maybe the less they're on the internet, because I've been having periods now where I don't look at it all day or even a few days.
Same.
And you change. You're not as
Yeah.
scared anymore. You're not having this thing. And this is what they're saying. They're trying to enrage you. They're trying to send you reels that are going to do your head in. And so you get away from that and you think things aren't so bad. You know what I mean? And you start thinking, and this is what I want to talk to you, Liz.
Yeah.
I think we've been selling facts and facts and facts and facts. It's a new piece. I'll send it to you. For 5 years. What if now it's a time to sell them what the great asset that we have that they will crave, and that's our community. Look how we
Yes.
get on, Liz. We never knew each
Yeah.
other before COVID. Now we're thick as thieves. And we have this beautiful way of communicating on a level with Paul and everybody. And it's so there's a great bond, a deep spiritual bond. And I think that's a light in the ever-growing darkness. People go, I want that. I want to be a human being. I want to be me. I want to be free. This is what we need to sell by celebrating who we are, celebrating how we've endured and survived, selling us basically to the world. We've got something you want.
And that's the thing. They don't understand love. They don't understand that beautiful sense of honoring other human beings because they don't honor or value human beings. They want us all in their eugenics world, all dying off early and being maimed and injured and prematurely killed. So they're completely anti-human, and we're pro-human. And then we can have fun. We can have, I mean, when just going back to Barry, when I needed to get a really trustworthy group of professionals together to look at the Barry data to make sure it was kosher before we put it out to the world. Paul, I flew you over, didn't I? And we had this amazing
clandestine it was.
I can't believe it was two years ago, just over two. First time
I thought he was going to get arrested.
It was very clandestine, and we had
strip searched by a little Kiwi cop. You know, I can't do the accent.
Don't joke about that. I was still getting my shoulders seen to today, because of that, what that bloody cop did to me. They're not fun, New Zealand cops, and they're being shown to be very corrupted. That's another story. But Paul came over, and we went to this house halfway down the North Island, and we had a whole lot of us there, and we had statisticians, and we were linking with people who could look at the data overseas, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Remember that? We linked with Mark Sexton, thanks to Dr. Lilly. What was that?
Oh, did you talk to Kennedy?
I didn't.
Barry Young did.
But we were in the room, like, you know, and there's all these amazing conversations were going on. And I thought, it was very special.
It was.
Just the way it all came together. And, you know, the idea was, look, we just want to get independent review of the data, but it's a huge data set. And how do you convey a data set with 2 million lines, you know, and then all those columns? and put it out in a way. And I remember we talked about like it's a Russian roulette if you came in on this particular place on this particular day. You know, how many chambers are filled in this? And Barry just said, look, I want to get independent review of this data because it's concerning. Yes. And then they send the stormtroopers to smash down his door and take all his computers as he's, you know.
Threatened both of us with prison if the stayed up. But the thing is, it's remained, and it made enough of an impact. And imagine once we can get it out to all the epidemiologists to really pull it apart. But I remember being at the table with Paul and some of these others who I won't name, but people going, look at that cluster. Look how many died from that one spot, that one chemist. Wow. But all of it was fully anonymized. We never saw the names. There was no privacy breached whatsoever. So their case falls apart at that point, even if they do take him to trial. But he shouldn't go to trial. We have to really, you asked how you can help. If you pray out there, please pray for Barry.
I reckon that eventually they'll come to the reasoning that they don't want him to go to trial. Because the trial is going to go bad for them, no matter what.
Very much.
You know, because if people like us can share the story, it's a no-brainer. This is the state trying to protect itself.
Yeah. So I was there as I was a witness, and I would give suggestions.
I was nervous, man. I never told you I was seriously nervous. I think they're going to get him. They're going to get him.
You know, the funny thing was, I help, I look at the data and we talk about how best to present it to the world in a way that will make some sense to them. And the batch data, was just mind-blowing. So you
clusters.
So you think it's just the data. Yeah, people turned up that Sunday morning, and then you look down the track, and no one from Friday morning on that date survived. It's just, it's not always that extreme, but there were clear patterns. The elderly, but all ages, no one was spared. Second dose worse than the first, and but you'd think that the authorities would be curious about a data set, but it's been repeated since. Steve has got other record level data. The Czech data, it's not like it was an isolated outlier as you'd think if it was, it was nonsense. It was it's been repeated, and there's an excess mortality signal, and others have found these clusters. So we were talking about it, but in New Zealand's response was, get those videos off the internet. No, Dr. Paul talking to Liz and Barry.
Some.
No, what was it? That they went to all the servers and sucked up every...
Wow.
We were just talking, no one knows about it because it got sucked.
Wow.
It got sucked out the internet.
They went after people like Kevin McKinnon. His whole site crashed because as he was trying to download it. It's just insane. And he's a major epidemiologist who has pulled numbers apart. And it wasn't, we laugh about it because it's a relief to laugh after all that stress, but it was very somber when we were going through it. It was very horrific, but there was a quiet sense in our little team that we were doing our due diligence, that when we put it out to the world, we'd be ready, and that it stood up as a database and that it would pull it down. And then I remember coming on with Paul and you, Michael, and you knew the gravitas, the import of it, and you said this could really change things. And then what did they do? They did what this American woman's going to try to do to Australians. They just went out to silence us. And it was brutal the way they did it, because just before I had the other court case, the lawfare case, where I touched someone and said, excuse me, twice, and was found guilty. Terrible. Like Damien, for assault. And then, that was Judge Janie Forrest from the district court, absolutely an Ardern appointment, totally biased. She basically did the job of the prosecutor and kept, hurling nonsensical questions and showed zero empathy for the lack of the way the police had hidden the videos, and also for the horrific abuse by the police. She just showed no interest in that. So there was a huge bias, and then the appeal succeeded. So I'd say to Damien, I know where you're at, mate, but you might appeal and you might get a win there, because I wasn't sure whether to appeal or not. Anyway, that story aside,
you succeeded though. That's great.
Yeah, it was amazing to get the appeal, because it was such a terrible precedent for all New Zealanders to touch someone lightly and say, excuse me, and it being deemed.
What did
The point was, she was pretty horrified at what the district court judge had done. She'd gone way off piste, and New Zealanders were horrified because they could see how it implicated their own lives. But the point was, this current government had just come into power, and this was when it all unfolded. I got the letter saying, take down the Barry data or you face, a $40,000 or $60,000 fine and 6 months in prison, I think, and we'll uplift all your equipment. And that was like 2 weeks before the other court case. And I went, I see what you're doing. You're doing a pincer movement on the chessboard. You're going to try to smash into the house and take all the gear and have another set of charges against me. You're really trying to break me, which I took actually ultimately as a real compliment, because I think when we stood in the last election, we got a lot more votes than they awarded us. I really do. And I think that New Zealanders who would normally not have voted in big numbers, because they knew that I did not want any power over anybody, that I was going to get in and decentralize and get power back to small communities, take away the bloody tax burdens so we're not burdened by that, be more like Dubai, or, where they have, I think, 5% or less tax. And they thrive because when you have a transaction tax, and Andrew Bridgen is looking at this now for the UK, a transaction tax is the only tax you need. Imagine no taxes on cars, no rates, no annual taxes for our beautiful farmers, no GST for our shops. All of the middle class businesses start to thrive again, which is what COVID broke. So we worked out that the transaction tax is just, if you choose to buy something, you pay a little part of what you have paid for the purchase price, you pay to the government. It goes straight into the government coffers. But if you, Michael, want to really save up, then you cut down on what you spend. And the money that you earn just keeps building up. And then when you have extra money jangling in your pockets, metaphorically speaking, you go, look, what should we do with this? Let's start a little business. And you have this upward, beautiful spiral of middle-class Aussies and Kiwis, once again, building up our lives and our futures for our children. But guess what? When I ran, the New Zealand media never once mentioned the party that I was helming. Never once. You know how they do it. And it was just, and then, it's awful. And then there's been a group who spent 10 months afterwards just assaulting me. I'll never say their names. And they've tried to steal that party. And it's the very opposite. They are the very opposite. They're totally motivated by ego. They want power. They lust for power. Whereas I was going, I don't want power, and I may only do this once. And this is your chance, New Zealand. Let's be really rebellious. But it's so hard to get the message out because of the silencing of us online, the limiting, the shadow banning, and then the bloody legacy media that I used to be part of just completely excludes everything that the government doesn't want. They're total shills, like Chinese communist media. They are so complicit in the crimes of the last 5 years.
They are Pravda.
They're appalling.
And they're Pravda and the Vorfrach mixed together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the ultimate irony of going after them as a neo-Nazi, because that's the behavior of Nazis, to go after free speech. That's the behavior. With a judiciary and courts that are now controlled by the puppets of the state. I mean, how is that different from 80 years ago with the OG Nazis? That's not how a democratic society is. I know we still call ourselves democratic, but Forrest Gump said, "Stupid is as stupid does." Well, communist is as communist does. Fascist, Nazi is as Nazi does. If they're going to behave like Nazis and You know, sorry, I was getting a bit close to the fabric.
Liz,
look, I was touching the fabric a bit. Look, I'm sorry, I inappropriately touched the fabric. I'll fix it.
Liz, can I send you my book?
Oh yes, what's your book? I haven't seen it.
It was published by John Stapleton from Upstream Publishing. He was watching my essays on Substack, and he contacted me and said, "Look, we've got to put them together in a book," and it's selling really well. People love it, and so I'd love to send it to you. Yeah,
I would love that.
I just put up essays because I like writing, and they just, yeah.
Oh, I'd like to read some more. Remember when you were in hospital, I read one of your pieces of writing and people loved it. And before that operation, so many people were contacting.
That was so funny, that piece. Oh my God. Like it was in my head and it's going to me. Because see, I have a thing called a poem that I wrote about myself, like a Siamese twin. So the outside, he's good for putting thing in the paper, but he likes watching TV and porn and all this other stuff. And the inner person is the poet. He's always got to somehow entice the gorilla to come to the keyboard and do the writing. You know what I mean? and so that night, the gorilla, the animal, wanted to sleep. He was sick. He's tired. And the poet's going, "Nah, we got to write this piece, man." I'm like, "It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. You had a heart operation. Just we'll do it in the morning." He goes, "No, we've got to do it now." And so I sat there and I wrote it about 1:30 in the morning. And I wrote one draft, put it through Grok to polish it up, just editing it. And then I put it up and posted it. And then I looked down and my wound had opened. And my whole body was covered in blood and pus and other stuff. And I went, uh-oh. And
That's incredible.
Isn't that amazing?
That's a metaphor. How is all of that? How is all of that, Michael?
100,000 reads by the next day. The piece went nuts.
Yeah,
I'm fine. I am so good.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to talk about community and living. I think we've got to start showing that we're living. Like all the common law people out there, I agree with you. But if we can't make the others can take on common law, why don't we use it as a code for ourselves? Code 1, do no harm. We look after ourselves because it's going to get very hard, very dark, and we've seen them. They're weak. If the government tells them to hate someone, they'll do it. They'll do it.
Yes.
We don't know why they'll do it, but they'll do it. So we're going to have to really rely on each other. And that's why Blue Bees, any ideas like these are long-term ideas to strengthen community. And that's why with the book, we've got a thing now called the Banned Book Company. So I've got 4 books on there at the moment. And we're after authors from New Zealand and anywhere. And we put it together, we market it that way, because in the future, all our things that we put online can be re-edited by AI without our knowing. But a book, I'm plugging my book. A book.
Yes, I want a copy of that.
It's yours.
Yeah.
So my essays from when I was touring around Australia and all the marches, just essays from that. And if you want a signed copy, guys, just contact us at cafelockedout@gmail.com, or it's got a cafelockedout.com.
That'd be fantastic.
The Banned Book Company. But
I'm going to get that.
It's cool because I'm actually living off the book. So it's really cool living as a writer again after I got cancelled.
That's brilliant. And there are a whole lot more plays in you as well, I think, Michael, because I think we're going to need way more songs. I had a lovely talk with my son the other day who said this whole AI thing in his generation is probably going to collapse because it's so perfect and sterile and soulless. And he said, actually, what I want is music that's slightly imperfect now. And I just cheered inwardly. I thought, that's what we need. We need to, I think there'll be a huge revolution away from tech and these ridiculous tech bros who've controlled our lives. I can't bear that Zuckerberg guy. He was so duplicitous and so betrayed humanity during COVID. I very rarely go now on Facebook. I go and I do a little splurge, but I'm not engaged with it like I was. I'm much more engaged on X. But even there, I don't really want to depend on any of them. And the other day I was just sitting outside going, just listen, let's just see what you hear. And the noises of the birds were so magnificent. How many times when we're on these machines do we really go out and celebrate the glories of nature? There was a tree in the distance and it had silver leaves that were rustling in the wind and they all looked like silver coins. And it just felt like nature was saying to me, there's so much abundance I want to give you, Liz. But you don't get out here enough and sit on the grass and feel it and squishing between your toes and listen to the birds and just be. Now, if we lived like that, they can't scare us. They can't scare us.
If social media disappeared tomorrow, would the world be better or worse off? And
good question.
When I look at the lives of my children, they're so captured by. I have to say, get away from your little blue screen now. Come and I'll show you the outside world. Look, the sky and there's ground, and it's beautiful. They're captured by these devices, and like you showed earlier, Michael, they're trying to push your rage and your emotion. One of the best things about your suffering, Michael, with your heart, was before that I took time away from the internet and just to spend time being more grounded. So, look, but to the kids, they're addicted to their blue light things, even though it's making them anxious, depressed, and unhappy. So look, we have to find a better way for our community. But it's not. This is not about like COVID wasn't about health. This social media stuff and digital ID is not about protecting the children.
No way.
It's always been about the same thing: control.
Yeah.
It's about control. For years and years, it's been awash with pornography, and they could have done something about that, and they never did it until now. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Hey, I'll tell you something, a way to make it much less attractive and less addictive. This is really interesting. You go to settings, and you can get it as a black and white screen, and without all the vibrancy of color, it really makes you more bored with it much more quickly.
Wow,
and
you get rid of the color and it's boring.
Yeah, and then you want to go outside and be in the color, because I've gone black and white. And so when I go out and the grass is really green and the trees are beautiful, all these different shades and the flowers are divine, it's like, oh, I'm back in the colorful world because I've made it more drab, and it really turns me off now. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, wow.
It's good.
Yeah, I found it really transformative. I don't say that word correctly. To actually get off it. I felt like I felt like a dry sponge, and someone was pouring water into me, and that was the beauty of nature. And I decided that the way forward now is, rather than doing all these, oh look, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, is actually, I think we have to sell the fact that we're celebrating being alive. And I'm absolutely thoroughly enjoying being alive. The other day I was in nature too. Cal and I found this national park where no one was there. And there's all these signs saying you have to book in and reserve this. No one was there. So we had it to ourselves. And we were skinny dipping in this creek and just laying on our back, looking up at all these trees and butterflies and all the sounds. And we were just another ingredient in this tremendous view. It's so beautiful to be alive. It's so wonderful. And they've spent tons of, all this energy they spend on trying to make us feel worthless.
Yes.
Like, we've got problem and this, and everything's going to shit, And someone said to me the other day, they said, oh, this is hell. And I said, well, if it's hell, someone's used heaven to paint it. And it's there, and it's stunning. And I think that's how we'll get other humans to join us, because other humans will go, they've just been offered 1984, and they'll look back at us and going, I want what they're having. I think eventually that will happen.
Michael, it's even worse than 1984. It's that meme of George Orwell holding 1984, looking at 2025 and going, holy fuck. I had no idea they would go this far. Holy fuck. That's the meme we're shooting for here. We passed 1984 several years ago. I think
But there was a lovely post just now. The comments are amazing. I meant to say there've been a whole lot of comments. I've wanted to go, look at that one. But there was someone from very good name, Liz Murray, I think her name was. She said, I'm always outside in the paddocks with the horses, and it's just so nice. It's so beautiful. That's within us to do. We can choose that at any moment to just go, I'm sick of tech and I'm not going to be ruled by this American woman, and I don't even need it. And boy, the tech pros will really go for her. If she ruins their multi-billion-dollar businesses, she ain't going to be popular. So we'll leave them to fight it out, and we'll just all go outside and be in nature. And I think get a van and then open up the back of your van and sell clothes or sell food or whatever. What was that?
Whatever it means, but it doesn't have to be. You don't have to travel like me, but whatever it is in you that you want to do, you've only got one time, and this trip is a one-way only.
Yes.
There's one way and limited. And so if you're not liking what you're doing, how they're frightening you into stay there is like, say you're all chickens, right? And they're going to you, there's, basically, I know it's hard in the chicken coop, you got all these things against you and stuff like that. And, you've got to constantly produce eggs, and we never turn off the lights. There's all this sound, and, you got no space. But out there, it's even worse. The foxes will eat you. Everything out there wants to eat you. Even the hypocrisy is fact you're being waiting. Someone's going to eat you anyway. Anyway, we're in this place of nature with no one was there. And there's this guy.
So he's been here for several months.
A dumped rooster. I'm finding them everywhere. People are dumping roosters. I found one when I had about 6. I think it was 8 in the end. And they're sitting there. And I said to this guy who, road worker, how long have they been here? He said, a year. They sleep in the tree in the evening, and they beg off the caravan during the day. But what these roosters are doing, the symbolism of it, is these chickens in the coop that think out there is terrible, will never survive. Well, look at this little guy. He's got all of this nature, and he's probably the luckiest rooster out. And these other chickens, all of them are brimming with health. No vaccines, no anything, because they've been discarded as young. And they're brimming with health, and they're happy, and they're surviving off their wits, and it's working. And what it's saying, what these symbols are saying is, you might feel there's no way past there, but this is why it takes a leap of faith. I had to leave my career as a playwright, the only thing I'd worked for years. I had to leave it. I had to leave, friends who just discarded me. I set off on this trip or this thing I've been on, and in that I've lost my family, and all this life. You think you just keep going because you feel you're on the wrong path. But then within that, I found Kelly. And now Kelly and I are tremendously in love. It's beautiful. And we work really well together. And life is good. And we feel like we're offering something that people want. And if they don't want it, well, we'll go do something else. But I'm blessed. And I'm saying outside the chicken coop, there is a life. Maybe this thing where they tell you achieve your dreams might be sort of might be wrong. Maybe I have a song written somewhere on the computer that beyond your dreams might lie your destiny. And in my case, that was the case, and in Damos and other people like that, and a lot of people in the community, they've sort of found themselves and found purpose after being kicked out. That's why we call the novel.
Are you saying we're like the roosters, Michael? You're saying we're like the roosters,
like two cocks,
sleeping in the tree at night, but we'd rather be free than in the hen house waiting.
Oh my God!
Waiting for the farmer to decide it's time for chicken dinner.
And free of fear.
That. We're gonna hang out. Yeah, it's like it's like a chicken version of an 8:32 meeting.
Yeah, honestly,
the truth will set you. The truth will set you.
That's the Renaissance. An exodus happening. And what the exodus is happening, it's spiritual, because the government's offering darkness, and the souls sense that they're not taking me anywhere that's conducive to my soul. So they'll start looking for other things. And that's why the Australian Federal Police have got this new department to hunt down people like us. Because what it's like, what I think happened in the USSR, once I wrote about this recently, once the ruling party realized that their ideology wasn't holding people there, people were fleeing to the West. So they built a wall to keep these people in against their will. This Australian Federal Police unit, I hope you're listening, that is the foundation of that wall. People are not happy. They're looking for other ways to live, and the government is trying to control the town square, which is social media, in order to stop the exodus. But the exodus will continue to happen because our side is offering them humanity and the right to be themselves, and the other side is just offering them slavery.
Liz, I think it's important that people know where to find us. I know the people who are mostly there. There's a lot of regulars here, and we're enjoying.
Lovely comments. They're great comments.
Blue Bee Folk Festival. Blue Bee Folk Festival.
And where's Robin? There's Robin. I was about to say, Robin, you have to come on.
Robin here.
Tell us what's going on.
Robin, I'll get you in a sec.
We could see some feisty. We could see some comments here. So
just before I bring Robin in, can I just show you? We've even got a speed-free song. Can I just play a bit of it?
Oh, love to see that. Yeah, there was another one you sent me this morning. I love.
Historically,
I'll move it up about here.
Why didn't we break out from their high? Why didn't we follow our own sun to another life? Why didn't we scroll over all their flowers? Brothers and sisters, it's okay to be free.
But the thing is, we can produce songs that work like that.
Did you write the words? Did you write the words?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the words are great.
Yeah, I'll send you the song. It's a fun song, but it's to go with the Be Free. It's to not start a renaissance, but to foster the renaissance, to kindle it.
Well, just before we do that, hey, I was there was a song you sent me this morning that brought me to tears. It was so beautiful, Michael. Tell me that wasn't AI. Was that a non-AI?
All my songs are AI. Oh, look, I'll show you. Actually,
it was a gorgeous one. Hi, Robin. How are you? How are you holding up?
Hi, Liz. I'm good. I'm holding up as can be. Let me put it that way.
The more it gets crazy, the more I laugh. And there's just this line from, I have talked about this with Michael before, but it's from Mandela's book, The Long Walk to Freedom. Great, huge doorstopper of a book. But the line that most stood out was when he said, on Robben Island, they could take everything from me, even my eyesight, being in the quarry, the white quarry, it took away his eyes. And he most valued reading. And so he started to get cataracts and go blind. And he said, they put me in solitary confinement. They took away my food. They took away any comms with my family. But there was one thing they couldn't take because I wouldn't give it to them. And the book goes, he says, that was my soul. And that, when you really look at all the ridiculousness going on, I just think, they can never own my soul because I'm this beautiful solidified stardust for now. But inside that solidified body of stardust, I'm actually a soul who is always eternally free. And it's all just a little bit of a joke, really. Even that ghastly American woman in Australia, and you see these posts from Australians who are panicked. And just remember, Australia, you're rebels. You're from great rebel stock. You will find your voices and you will stand up and you'll go, just get lost, lady. You don't tell me what I can and cannot say. That's the Aussie spirit.
We call it E-Karen. We call it E-Karen here.
E-Karen.
So what are you thinking of the show so far, Robin?
Oh, I have been watching, I think it was 8:10 when I checked in. I was on an X Space prior to that. Isn't it interesting with the X Spaces? But absolutely fantabulous. Yes, it's a word. I coined it many months ago on Rise. Fantabulous show. And really listening to Liz, and Liz, we've only spoken a couple of times online, not actually spoken in person. But the really wonderful thing is that we have people like Liz Gunn and Marianne DeMassey and all of these wonderful people who used to work for corporate media, who are now woken up to the light, let me say that, and have very successful, as Liz does with her podcasts and broadcasts and research, and Mr. Massey with her Substacks on and so forth, and traveling around the country and doing the speaking events where the people who were previous in corporate media, those awful terrible people, the criminals who should actually be in jail along with everybody else, are actually speaking out. I think this is one of the most wonderful parts of the new Australia, because we are looking at a new Australia, particularly when you look at X Spaces, but that's a whole nother tin of fish. People like yourself, Liz, who are coming out and say, this is what it is, this is what's going on. You've just talked about prior in the show with Paul and Barry and RFK and exposing that information, so on and so forth. Without people such as yourself, that wouldn't happen. So I think this is a monumental time in history, and no wonder Miss E. Karen, along with her horrible, terrible friends, wants to make everybody silent.
Yes. And it's so laughable to think that they seriously think they can silence a whole people or a whole world. It is ludicrous. And I do notice a guy that I used to read the 6 o'clock news with on Saturdays and Sundays when I was a beginner in legacy media. And this was, 25 years ago now. God, I'm so glad I left about 20 years ago. But he's slinking out the back door. His name's Simon Dallow, and he's been on the news every night through COVID. The number of deaths tonight, the number of cases today in New Zealand. He did all that. But instead of owning the horror job he did, the fact that he scared so many particularly older New Zealanders into getting these poison shots, the fact that he probably didn't get them, or if he did, he's probably injured, because I know some of my ex-colleagues in legacy media are injured from the jabs, and not speaking about it either. But he's just slinking out the back door and retiring, because he probably knows his numbers up, that legacy media is dying in Australia and New Zealand because they have lied to us, and they haven't cared about the people, and they've taken their filthy lucre, their Judas money, knowing that more and more and more Antipodeans are being hurt and injured by these jabs. But we won't speak about that. So I was sending stuff about Barry to a whole lot of my colleagues, like Anna Thomas, who I used to be great friends with. You won't know her, but she used to read on Radio New Zealand, which is a bit like your ABC. But it was funny in the early days of the lockdowns. There was I was speaking out, and so I was a pariah because especially since I'd been in legacy media, and we lived in the same area. And she was walking towards me with her husband, masked and everything. I was walking along unmasked and really happy. It was a sunny morning, and honestly, as we passed, she just about fell into some woman's hedge, to try to get away from me because I was such a leper. And that was a former colleague. And now I'm sending her the Barry data and saying, redeem yourself, all of you, spread it around one another and say, hey, we are in legacy media. We're massively out of lockstep with the people of New Zealand. How about we push our bosses from the ground up to tell the truth to the people? Because if the legacy media people get on the side of the people now, it's not too late. But you don't want to be sticking with the lies when most of society wakes up to the fact that you've lied for 5 years.
Liz, I think they've destroyed their franchise. I think they've destroyed their franchise, and we're the new media. And
I agree.
If they get off the Facebook and these centralized things, they've proven themselves, like the mainstream media, not to be honest. the propaganda arms of vested interests in big pharma and the bankers and all that. Go to places like cafelockedout.com, follow us on Rumble, rumble.com/c/Cafe Locked Out. You'll go straight to the page. You can watch all the
Robin.
Robin, where do people find you after the digital Iron Curtain comes down?
Yes, the best place to find me, of course, is on Rumble. My relentless interviews live on Courage is the Cure on Rumble, and my Rise morning shows live on Rumble Robin's Hood. Paul and Liz, I just wanted to kind of reinforce what you're saying and also ask a question, just talking about corporate media and all those sorts of things. And we've seen with Operation Teller come out, and we have wonderful people out on the streets fronting police officers and talking to them about Operation Teller, and they have no idea. And yet, I think, Liz, you mentioned earlier in the broadcast today that record numbers of police officers, and of course it's not isolated just to the UK, it's all of the Five Eyes nations are taking early retirement and all these sorts of things, and meshing that with We Are the New Media. And of course, I'm not saying that, podcasts are responsible for people sourcing information and people walking away from their jobs. But what I'm suggesting
I'm your one
is
source of truth.
One horse of truth.
Yeah, you don't have the teeth for it, Michael.
The information is actually traveling around the world, and we're talking about the police. I would like to get some numbers within the medical profession, so on and so forth, because as much as the people with many fingers in pies don't like the new media, we know it is having an impact. So I'm just wondering, we've seen former Constable Mark Sexton come out, and he's done his data drop over the past few days. Liz, of course, that shadow banned. Do we have another kind of drive behind getting the truth out to the people? Because we need those momentums to continue, don't we?
We do, but we all have to face that they may try to strangle all of the voices of truth and freedom on these tech, platforms. And what would we do then? We were talking earlier about community, but maybe it is saying to all the people in your local area, hey, let's have a get together. There's a little hall just down the way from me. And I was thinking, that'd be quite fun to say to people, let's just meet, everybody bring a plate and something to drink, and we'll just get together and share what we found. What are you reading? What are you seeing? Yeah.
Liz, you could be the town crier, Liz. You take the information. I'm thinking of doing it. If it comes down, you want to see what we do, our interviews, well, we'll present them in a town hall. Sorry, Paul.
The B is like the new Guy Fawkes mask in V for Vendetta. Instead of the mask over the face for Guy Fawkes, we just go around going zzz.
Well, I think the best thing is now start to focus in on our families and our health. I just really want to get very fit. I've been looking at some wonderful exercises from a Shaolin monk. It's a book, and I think he's online as well. And what they're about are intrinsic inner core stability. Because I think we were all not for six when we had to work out all of this evil. Surely, I still remember that morning at 3 a.m. going, surely Jacinda Ardern is not wanting to murder her own people. I must be going crazy, but all my research is pointing to that. And that doesn't make sense. No leader would want to murder their own people. And then you go, oh yeah, this is a cabal of completely crazed psychopaths from Bill Gates down, from Schwab. And, and Ardern was trained by Tony Blair and Schwab, and she was a prize young leader. And, Helen Clark, who's as nutty as, I'd rather have a nut-filled fruitcake than Helen Clark. So, you know, it's just crazy that these people
Do you
who have
think when
these
they were
miserable
auditioning
lives.
her, Liz, do you
Yeah.
think when they were auditioning her, you don't think Blair suddenly turned to someone and just whispered, "What are we going to do about those teeth?"
I think they thought
like a
they would
horse,
scare
don't you
us as a kind of metaphor of prison bars are going to you know, clamp around you, but that she didn't realize that they would give her a humorous edge, which is what Jacinda Ardern needs. She's so kind anyway and so compassionate. That's how she sells herself to everybody from Graham Norton down.
Talk about
But
killing with kindness.
yeah. I think we have to laugh at them. They hate being laughed at. I think we have to laugh joyfully with each other the more they try to silence us. I think your ideas about going back to community are right. I think realizing, I just said to someone today, we never needed the internet when we were young. We had a bloody blast when we were young. And we'd just pick up a phone maybe occasionally, but mostly we met with friends and we talked outside. And there was a piece from Italy today that was horrifying people, a pregnant woman that was on a train, very heavily pregnant. And I think only a couple of men even bothered to look up from their phones. And I think only about one person offered her a seat, you know, and she'd been standing there for quite a while. It's because people are so dedicated to these ridiculous screens which have made these tech billionaires who aren't even ethical human beings, who don't even like humanity. So let's withdraw en masse our support for their product and go back to a world that is way simpler and way more joyful. And then you realize I've got the power. I've got the power, not them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You take away the money out of the equation between us. All they have over us is money. You take away the money, they've got nothing left to offer humanity. Nothing. It's control, darkness, nothing. You can come to join us. You can be yourself. You might have to find a new way to make a living, but basically you can be yourself. You'll be accepted for being you. You can start exploring who you are so you can actually become your real self. You will not be allowed to do that on the other side because the only tool you can use to explore yourself is free speech, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe
but in the last few years, Robin, don't you think you've lost all interest in like going to big super shopping, you know, arcades and shopping? I have no interest in buying stuff. I have no interest in going to shops. I go for the very minimal stuff that I need. My diet has simplified way down, so I just really need meat and fresh vegetables and a bit of fruit. I don't like packaged foods because it's full of crap. And so my life is really simplified in a way that's joyful. I mean, what a gift. And then
I'd have to say I've gone through a really traumatic time. So the kind of course I'm living in the bush. So I'm not surrounded by kind of consumerism in those terms, if you like, with the shops and so on and so forth. But you know, all of those other discussions can be had another time. But very interestingly, I had some wonderful conversations this afternoon with some wonderful folk at a local pub. You know, this is a true Aussie pub this afternoon. And one of the things that I really appreciated and was reinforced into my being as an Australian is, despite when I go down to the flatlands, which is, you know, where I go down from the bush and down the hills and to where the city people live and all that sort of thing, where you find all the nonsense and the absolute debauchery and dumb, retarded, yes, I said it, the R word, retarded people. The conversations I had this afternoon with people is that everyone, where I was, there was a huge event at a local pub, a lot of people there, and the majority of people that I spoke to, you know, I don't shy away from having conversations, you know, let's be real. they know what's going on. They actually know what's going on, and they've had enough. They've actually had enough. So I don't think, and I know what you're saying, Michael. We need to get people to create something or sell them something or bring them back to something. I think there's a big shitload of people out there that already know what it is. They don't want to let go of it. They're grabbing hold of it for grim death. And those are the people that are, and it could be Australian, could be Brits, could be Americans, Canadians. We're out there. We're absolutely out there. And that really gave me hope this afternoon because, we've been talking about social media when we look around and the stuff that they try to feed through our algorithm, doom scrolling and all that sort of stuff. When you get out there and you talk to the people, they're there. They're there and they're ready to go. They're ready to go in the most wholehearted, loved, heart-filled way. Not in a, angry, let's stab everybody and let's kill everybody. They're out there because we love humanity. And I think, Liz, you said it earlier on the show, we're pro-human. We are pro-human and they're still out. And I saw it this afternoon.
And you just think about that, the more we get off machines, the more we talk with people like that and have a few beers and sit in the sun and laugh at stuff and share ideas, that humanity will blossom so powerfully. And I would add in there, for me, it's God has really fed my soul, and to know there is a being. And you guys may not agree with that, and that's part of freedom. But to know there's something beyond just here as well has really given me freedom from fear. So that's something you might want to look at, you might not want to look at, but for me, it's in the darkest times, because I agree with you, Robin. I think we've all had our hearts broken in the last 5 years as well. And I've been through multiple dark nights of the soul where I just don't even think I can do anything the next day. And I feel a total failure. And we've all been there. And everybody I interview who's decent has been there. But when you emerge from those, you go, that's right, something got me through, and there is something beyond this. And no matter how much they put their pressure and their cruelties and they try to divide us, and people respond in cruel ways, and the viciousness of not just the government people and the legacy media people, that's all standard, that's de rigueur, and seeing that done to people that I interviewed, like Casey, who was in a wheelchair, 23 years old after her first jab, and she was one of the first to speak out. And all she got were these trolls, you vicious people who did that to a 23-year-old. And you think, where has the humanity gone? But now they have to live with that. I don't have to live with it. They have to live with the horror of what they've done. The trolls who attacked you when you were in hospital, Michael, who didn't even have the humanity to show care to another human being, they live with it. Ardern lives with what she's done till the day she dies. I mean, we don't carry that.
Sorry, Liz. A lot of them literally didn't have humanity. I suspect we don't know how many of them were bots. Maybe more than half the internet is populated by bots, and again, they're just there to push and deflect, and there literally there's no humanity there. They're just messing with us. This is part of why life could be better with us. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, though, back on the thing of the other thing we have to offer is the lessons we've learned. We're 5 years in. I'm the best Michael I've ever been, despite everything that's happened to me. I really like this Michael, and what's happened is oppression and obstacles have been like hosing off all my barnacles, making me, even the heart attack I've survived and go through, it's making me harder and stronger and more focused, and have great faith in myself and confidence. I'm not trying to brag like I'm anything great, but this is the best Michael I've been, and that is through going through the darkness to reach the dawn. And that's what I think a lot of us have been, because so many people I meet now go, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't believe who I am now, but they've gone through an odyssey to reach it. I think we can sell that to the other side. It might be difficult doing the transition, but once you get over the border of the transition, man, you don't know who you're going to find.
I've just realised, Michael?
What?
That when any lady with, a vagina and a uterus will know that when you give birth and you have that baby and you care for that baby 24 hours a day, and whether it's 1 month in, 2 months in, 6 months in, a year in, and you look back in your life and you think, what was I doing before I had a baby? And I know women will know what I'm talking about. You don't know what you were doing. What did your life, what consumed you before you had a child? And I think now, Michael, men understand what consumed you before the COVID war, because you've just said it very succinctly, and I'm giving an analogy. It's the same thing. What were we doing before this happened? I mean, I have memories. I know where I was. I can remember years and dates. But the transmogrification, and that's to say
That new word? Did you just make that word up?
Because when
That's
we're
a great
talking
word.
about objects that transform into another state. I mean, you can argue it's not a living object. The most classic example is lava, right? It comes out of the volcano as liquid, and then it forms into a rock. That's called transmogrification, right? And I think the human existence is some way very similar to that. And we experience that as females, I would say, when we give birth and have children. And I think through this experience of the COVID war, men, whether you know it or not, I would suggest that you've actually experienced the same thing as well. And that's a huge thing for the humanity, the human psyche. And can somebody do a study about that? I think that'd be very worth it.
Robin, I feel like I was reverse transmogrified. I've gone from lava, I've gone from rock back into lava, because like 5 years ago, I was a respected senior specialist in a hospital system. People actually, thought that made sense, and now I'm a deplorable anti-vax cooker and professional shit stir. But I have to admit, my life is way better. I mean, it was carry on.
Now they say I'm working behavior.
She's got the spoon.
I remember, I'm going to keep coming back to Barry, but when I got Paul over, and we'd have these long days of looking at all this terrible data of deaths that you knew could have been avoided, and information that you knew needed to get out to New Zealanders, and how could we do enough work on this so that they couldn't stop it, so that it would expose it, so that it would stop mRNA shots in New Zealand, and that would stop them around the world. We really had a vision from this, this amazing whistleblower in New Zealand that could have had a domino effect around the world. But then it would get to 5 o'clock and Paul would go, I need a drink. And then we'd all have a good drink.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw the data, I cried.
I know, we all did. It was so sombering.
This was Barry's post from the other day. It says it's exactly 2 years ago, armed police smashed into my house to arrest me.
And they were so brutal. They were brutal.
Like they were brutal
rough.
to you. Like they were brutal to you for your little tap on the shoulder. We have to wrench your arm out of your shoulder socket. I mean, seriously, this is what the magistrate then calls that you had done. I mean, it undermines people's faith in the judiciary.
And it should. And it should.
And it should. And memories. Memories.
I always wish that moment where she said, you're guilty of assault. I really, afterwards, I regretted. I was tempted to, but I stopped myself. I was tempted to go, like a McEnroe. You cannot be serious.
You should
But
have
it didn't
slapped it.
seem
You
very
think
funny.
that's a slap? I'll show you a slap.
You left it for the appeal.
If you're going to do the time, you might as well do the crime.
Oh, it was so ludicrous. It was
And
so
Robin,
ludicrous.
you have something to say? I saw you shit stir a spoon was up. I don't know where my shit stir.
Yes, sorry, we ignored the shit stir spoon. Apologies.
Yeah, there.
It's got a permanent place here, just to my right, just next to my mouse. I keep it there. Safekeeping.
You might have to award that one day to E. Karen.
Oh,
No.
can I tell you, Michael, Paul, and Liz? I have collaborated with one of the most extraordinary Australian musicians. We have a song dropping on Tuesday, and Miss E. Karen, you've got a special place in the song. Let me tell you now. Here we go. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Oh, that's another thing. Liz, you know that song, The Farmer's Wife, I sent you?
Yes.
The Emily James Trio have now redone it, and they're doing it as a single with humans singing it.
Oh, that is amazing.
So
That's amazing.
Poetry to
I think we need another real flowering of pub bands and the sort of thing that led to AC/DC blossoming, that whole thing where we get together with music, dance. The more they try to make Australia miserable, the more you need to get out and dance and be joyful.
That's what I'm saying. That's how we fight back. We fight light with darkness. We fight it with light.
I agree.
That's what Epic was. It was a gift and responsibility. It was a gift of unity, egalitarian unity, and saying, okay, go out, take it to the rest of your country. That's what they want. They don't want what's coming. And so I think I'm telling the freedom movement, maybe it's time for us spiritually to go back to Epic, even if you didn't go, but to go back to Epic, to sort of breathe fire onto the beacon of hope, which is what we are. That was the gift we were given, a beacon of hope in these times. And we might have screwed up all the way, but we're trying to find the path. That's okay. We don't have a map. So we have to remember that what we actually have is this great bond, this incredibly beautiful spiritual bond. And that's a responsibility as well. And we should live up to that.
I mean, that thing about, Robin.
I'm very sorry, Liz. Very quick.
No.
Michael, I didn't make it to Camp Epic, but we have a bunch of wonderful West Australian, King Cullen and all the rest of them that did. But I have to tell you that, of course, I saw the footage. I do reports because of my job, and, I bring up the drone footage incrementally as I go through different series that I do, if you like. But actually, I really appreciate, and people can say in the comments if they agree with me or not, I really appreciate people like yourself, Michael, that continue to talk about Camp Epic, because it reignites that fire in my heart where I watched live streaming and I was lost. I lost everything at that time. And my poor little Mazda, the Bushmobile, couldn't make it to Canberra. And I watched all of you. And every time I hear you guys talk about it, I'm reinvigorated. It brings the memory back. Our elders are, in homes where they don't talk anymore, and you are still here along with everybody else who talks about Camp Epic. It's so important, and it reinvigorates me. I just wanted to put that in the ether.
There was a lovely message from Sean, someone saying there is hope, and there is so much hope when we really do start to get away from all the scaremongering and just go back into fun and joy again, honestly, and real people, friendship, and there's so much. When I knew I was coming on tonight, I felt this real lightness, this real urge to laugh, even though it's a hugely important week and Barry has to win. But I don't know.
I'm going to give you a laugh now. I'm going to give you a big laugh now, okay?
Yeah.
Because we talked about AI, and there's a lot of things. I've actually been selling an AI album that's been selling really well with the songs, but they're like protest songs. But I just want to play, see if I can find this one. This is to, where is it? Okay, here we go. So, yep. So I found this just yesterday when we were going through this old hard drive. I found this thing. So 8 years ago, well before COVID, I started writing this poem, which got me in a lot of trouble with the trams. Thanks. This is called The Lucky Country. It's a poem of mine. It's based on real people I've seen while driving trams. And it's a song, so some people have been asking to hear it as a song, but I'm not a musician, so I can't play any instruments. I do get melodies and words. So if you want to add music, go ahead. So this is just the bass, okay? I've got it to hear. It's called The Lucky Country. When I met Jesus tonight, he was almost 10 years old, and he was helping his mother push a trolley full of all they owned. Because they couldn't find an inn they could get in, they were heading to the city and leaving Bethlehem. Couldn't you perform a miracle? I'm out of them, his eyes said. I tried turning nothing into warmth, but it just made my mother cry. Now, I couldn't find a muso who, I had loads of musos who loved it, but they wouldn't do it. And so AI comes along.
When I met Jesus Christ, he was almost 10 years
Wow.
old. And he was helping his mother push a trolley full of all they owned. And because they couldn't find an inn they could get in, they were heading to the city and leaving Bethlehem. Couldn't you perform a miracle? I'm out of them, he said. I tried turning nothing into warmth, but it just made my mother cry. It just made my mother cry.
And that
Wow.
song, is, they're playing that song Lucky Country on radio now in Canberra and a few other radio stations like that. So who the fuck knew, you know? So I actually think
That's
AI is a
crazy.
two-edged sword. There's something really powerful that's happened with AI that's come out. It's a two-edged sword. We can use it for creative stuff outside, so we can write protest songs in minutes to cope with anything. My Charlie Kirk song had millions of views, but there's
Yeah.
but other AI people doing it as well. So to me, it's like adding wings to me. But what's really the news about AI this week is the CEO of IBM, an Indian fella, has come out and said what they want to do with AI, was basically replacing humans everywhere, is impossible, because the amount of infrastructure they need equates to about $8 trillion per 5 years. And then they have to replace it with another $8 trillion.
That's brilliant.
And what he says is just the interest repayments on the $8 trillion would be about $800 billion a year. And none of the tech companies make that money, so they couldn't pay the interest repayments. And then there's the power, the amount of power they would need.
Yeah.
Would meet. So basically, I think this thing of AI is going to replace us. It's just the latest fear porn. We had climate change, we've had COVID, we've had all this other shit. Now I think AI, and I know AI is going to take some jobs, but I don't think it's going to be the devastation that they've said it's going to be. I could be
Michael,
wrong.
it's not the workers and it's not the money. I mean, we the valued nature of money is a fallacy. They can print however much they want. I mean, that is
Yes.
the nature of the system we live under. I mean, that's a bunch of bullshit. The problem they have is the energy, right? And we
Yes.
can see with this net zero palaver that they're spinning around the Five Nations. I mean, don't get me started on what they're doing in Western Australia and the coal mines and the factories that they've shut, all the rest of it. This is their
Did
problem.
you guys see the windmill blades are full of asbestos and they break
yeah.
down?
No way.
Oh,
And the
God.
sand in kindergartens, also from China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So the problem is not the worker, I mean, industrial, all this sort of stuff, it changes. What we essentially have is a power struggle, and it's not amongst the people. They've already won the people struggle. It's literally the power they need to fund these multi-level business, exactly, to
The data
power these
centers,
things.
yeah.
So, we're all paying for it. It's still not enough. Let's not remember that. Canada's got it right up the hooter, and it's still not enough. So they keep doing it, country after country. It's still not enough. So
That's why they're
we've
talking
got
about
to ask
nuclear now.
ourselves, where does it end? Because they do have a projected goal that they're after, absolutely, but it's not enough. So where is it going to end?
Do you know, it's
Say, that I'm not keen on AI songs. Normally, they all sound a bit the same, but that woman's voice really worked with your lyrics, and then it could easily be sung by a real human. It was actually good. Sorry, Paul. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a great excuse to print, conjure out of thin air a whole lot of trillions more, and give it to these data centers and energy operators and the friends of the people of the bankers who we're at the end days of this fiat currency system.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Could they really print $8 trillion more, Paul?
They've been printing trillions, and look at the U.S. stock markets. It used to be the Mag 7. And then it became the Mag 2, there were only two that were going up. And now it flips around, but our system is a great scam. It started centuries ago, Bank of England. They worked out how to do alchemy. They using ledger money, double entry accounting, they worked out how to conjure digits out of thin air, and people took them, and they were able to buy gold, cities, politicians, whatever, with the stuff. But it's been going on for so long now, and it's been completely unmoored with any, physical value for so long that now the actual value of the dollar, all the currencies, you just look at the chart, it's heading towards zero. And whatever your share portfolio and your retirement account and your bonds that underpin your central banks, what if they could be billions or trillions? When you multiply that by zero, what do you get?
Yeah.
Paul, can I ask you, because the installation of capitalism, if you look back, before the Bronze Age, they came up with all sorts of things, and bronze essentially became a currency. They could transport it easily. It didn't deteriorate, all these sorts of things. And along at the same time was human trafficking, right? They could transport humans, and that became a currency, right? And it still is a currency right now. So, we're moving into an age where human data is now the currency, which they're all trading, which is why Google is what they're going to be doing at the end of December in Australia. And I would like to see those contracts along with the COVID jab contracts. So, Paul, what do you think about human data? Obviously, it's already a currency, but the shift where we move away from the fiat currency system, which we've lived under for how many generations, so on and so forth, and we've been programmed to, this is how you succeed in life. You work hard and you will succeed. I mean, we know that's fucking died in the ass, excuse my French. But how do you see, because the new currency is human data, where do you see that taking us?
I think that's true. Look, AI could be hugely successful still if it manages to effectively enslave humanity, turn us all into being able to control our thoughts and our actions, and you will own nothing, and which is the first part of what I was talking about, and you will be happy. That's the you will be happy part. We'll completely control you. How much is control over humanity? Is it worth $1 billion, $1 trillion, $10 trillion? To these guys, it's priceless. They just want control. They just want to own everything, all right, and control the whole planet. Money's no object. That's part of the problem, because they can be completely unmoored with reality, which is Michael's point, that it takes energy, and it takes cities worth of energy to run these data centers, and you can't have an industrialized economy or even a modern economy if you switch off the lights. So data, it's about control, and if they're successful in enslaving humanity, that's worth any amount of digits they can conjure out of thin air. But see, the flip side, right, is all the assets that people think they have now and that they've traded their life for by the hour is heading to zero in value. But when you use that as the denominator, as we do for the prices, when you divide by zero, as you get closer and closer to zero, you get a vertical line in the number of digits you need to buy anything. So this is why I don't think it's going to be too long, and which is why they're driving this control grid, because and just recently silver nearly was breaking out. They had to pull the plug on the data center, because there's only so much silver in the world, and they trade enough paper silver that almost exceeds the amount that's mined in a whole year, in a trading day of pay. And now people are coming and saying, "Nah, here's my contract. Give me the physical," and it nearly broke the system. They managed to shift the contracts about 100,000 to the March session, but they were scrambling for stuff. So I see an epic. So it's not silver going vertical. It's the value of the fiat going to zero. So we need a new system, and the freedom community is well placed temperamentally, because we like the idea of having actually being paid value rather than totalitarian frequent flyer points as currency.
I love that. Totalitarian frequent flyer
points. We don't want the totalitarian frequent flyer point system. We want real value, and free people are going to. It's not going to come from government. The solution. It's going to come from our community. It's going to come from private, and the BRICS countries. We talked about this maybe a couple of years ago. I was saying fall of the petrodollar. Well, the BRICS are now driving we want real value. We don't want your conjured out of thin air script anymore. If we're going to sell you our oil and our computers and our rare earths, you've got to give us stuff of real value. So all of a sudden, gold and silver is being remonetized, and whether it's 6,000 or 660,000 or 600,000. I mean, at some point, people will realize, oh no, I'm not going to work for this shit. You better. And the West has been really slow to catch on. But if our community, just out of free choice, it's not being imposed by Putin. It's just people wanting a fair value. Stuff that's not going to get eroded away. And those solutions are coming. It's actually a very exciting year. I think they're clamping down because they're really worried that they're about to be rolled by people in a bus who use AI to write songs and stuff. And that may be that may be their social fabric they're talking about. We don't know because we haven't seen the fabric yet.
Paul, I hate to interrupt you, but I think it's midnight in New Zealand. I was just
it is. It is. And yeah, look, I'm loving it so much. I keep going a little bit longer, but I just think there's going to be a bifurcation. I think there are going to be those who still want to obey, and they're going to be jabbed with more and more ridiculous stuff for more and more imagined illnesses, because that's what Bill Gates is obsessed about. And they're going to eat rubbish food and trust the system and watch the news. And you can't do anything about those people, but there are more and more of us who are going, I'm just going to live a different kind of life, and I will not give my power away ever. I will die on my feet and never on my knees. So you'll never have me on my knees. I'm free now, and I'll remain free till the last breath I take. And so I think when there are enough of us, I think we will. I hear it in the Candace Owens podcast. That is unmissable, everybody. And if you haven't been listening since Charlie Kirk died, just throw it on every time you're in your car, because she is the most extraordinary journalist in the world right now, and she is slowly picking apart all of the lies around her friend's death. And she's just saying, I will never vote again. It's a totally broken system. It's so corrupt. How could Trump have had Charlie work for him and not be standing up for this amazing person who's been executed in full public view to traumatize all of us. But she picks it apart, and then she goes, we just need a new system. She's saying that there are lots of other leading podcasters who are starting to talk like that now. We all agree this doesn't work. These politicians are irrelevant in our lives. Yeah. They're absolute buffoons. I mean, Albanese is just a pathetic creature. Even Ardern on Graham Norton, it's just so desperate the way she's marketing herself to head up the UN. And the UN doesn't even mean anything. So all of it's crumbling, but in a really exciting way. The money system, the health system, it means that something new will be born. And what will that be? And it has to be small. It has to be personal. It has to be more local. We cannot have this centralization. We can't have, I think it was Elon Musk today who called for the EU to be collapsed as well. It's pathetic. And we can't have these stupid people in Canberra telling some Australian community, in the far north in Arnhem Land, how they should live. It just doesn't work. The system does not work. And the centralized people just get more and more corrupted. Didn't your communications minister go overseas and spend an absolute fortune on herself with hotels and things just recently? I mean, they're just...
Ski trip
they're
for
just...
a family, Liz.
There is zero value.
Yeah, that's it. Wow. Total
So I think we should celebrate that. The more we can go off on our own paths, and the less we want to buy from society. And I have 3 farmers that I can get unjabbed meat from now. That's amazing. When you've got a freezer, when you've got enough really healthy meat, and you can grow some vegetables, or in your case, Michael, go to markets and get some healthy veggies. That's your food taken care of. It's so simple. Look after your soul, look after your body, look after your, friendships with quality people, not trashy people, not rubbish people who turn their backs the minute the government tells them to turn their backs on you because you're different. Those friends, there was no loss in those friends. So I think it's been a giant, messy sort of cleanup in the last 5 years. What do you all think?
There'll be another cleanup. Liz, I just have to say it because I know people in the audience are thinking it, and I most certainly am. When you're talking about those big podcasters who have all of those sponsors who say things that they're supposed to say, be very careful. Be very careful. I know you just mentioned Charlie Kirk and Candace, and look, I've written numerous articles about Candace, what an atrocity it is, and Tony Burke, nice name by the way, Burke, not allowing her into Australia to exercise her right for free speech among 5 our nations. But I will just point out that people need to do their own due diligence when they are watching and supporting big podcasters that have certain supporters. I'll just put that out there.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. And I think I know what you're alluding to there. I was thinking of Sean Ryan. He was amazing the other day with the guy who was in the helicopter that crashed in Mogadishu. And that was the basis for the film
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, Black Hawk Down. And he was such a decent guy. Oh, the way he spoke, he was so beautiful, and he'd stood in politics. And then he'd been basically pushed out in the early stages because they knew they couldn't corrupt him. And Sean Ryan, I've never heard him like this. He was, every second word was a 4-letter word, but it was perfectly placed because he was going, and he was saying Trump just surrounds himself with yes men. And you could hear in the way Ryan speaks that he's so angry that he endorsed Trump, that no matter, there are certain things, yes, you could say Trump's better than Kamala, but, that's damning with faint praise, really, because Trump has really not done what he could have done. He could have been the greatest president, and he is, he just looks like he is, owned by a certain country, and we all know that. And it's pitiful.
A little bit embarrassing now. It's
really embarrassing. I just see a little poodle on a lead now when I see Trump,
I agree. Yes, I agree.
Well, someone asked us to go out on a high. So I think I'd like to say, this is our last Sunday show on Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, go fuck yourself. And but what I'd like to say is that for me, COVID, I found a community. Call them the Orphans of Goodbye Road. Doesn't matter whether you're at Epic, some found it in marches, in little groups, wherever. I remember in WA where King Cole's place, and there was a whole community there. All these people from different backgrounds just getting on fabulously. And I think that is the gift we've been given. In the time they're trying to separate us and make us anonymous even to ourselves, we actually do the opposite. And I think bit by bit, people will want what we have. And that's our responsibility to start shining. Instead of banging, why won't you listen to us? Just start shining, start living, whatever that means to you, and start celebrating being alive. Make your life a grateful prayer to God that you're a part of his audience, you understand it, and you love it, and the others can go fuck themselves. How's that?
The side that came up with the Free Hug Army during the fear campaign, where we were being told not to look at your neighbor, even if you see them don't
Staying
look at
apart
them.
keest us together.
Stay apart 6 feet and stay behind the perspex. I mean, these insane bastards who not faced accountability. If you're still following them, honestly, you're heading off the cliff. So, we're building the life raft. The Titanic is in trouble, and come join us. It's going to be better than Waterworld.
I was talking to someone who was one of those who followed, and it was really lovely. It followed to the letter everything the government did, and then I was saying, wasn't it amazing the way that virus just left us alone once we went into the cafe with our passes, because I never could go into those cafes because I didn't have the pass, with our passes and our masks. And then when we all sat down, the virus never bothered us. And I just started laughing, and she actually started laughing. And I went, bingo, it's dropped in. 5 years on, it's dropped in. How ludicrous that was, and how that made no sense. But lost all sense of critical thinking. Yeah. But I'll tell you, for me, it's also been, I think you alluded to it earlier, Michael, the chipping away of everything that wasn't really you. And that's what those painful nights do, Robin, those painful parts. But there was a story years ago, a book called The Agony and the Ecstasy, and it was about Michelangelo, the beautiful sculptor, when he was a young man outside Florence, would go to the quarries, and he would see in a piece of marble, he would already see what the piece was. So say David, that beautiful young man that he sculpted in marble, he saw that in the marble, and he said, I don't create it, God creates it, and my job as a sculptor is to chip away everything that isn't David. So he said the shape is already intrinsically in that piece of marble. And I think we are all that. And I think the harshness of the last 5 years, we've all had a chance to look at who we really are, underneath all of the crap that society sort of puts on you when you're in school and when you're going through and trying to be what you think society expects you to be. We've all had to come to a place of real honesty and face who we are. And some of us would face being really cowardly. And I allude here to some of those doctors who've gone ahead and done things that were wrong. And Paul, you faced that moment and you went, money doesn't matter. I'll be brave and I'll be true to myself and I'll have a moral code and I'll have
I saw kids being harmed, Liz. I saw kids being harmed, and I thought, there's no fucking way I'm going to let this happen if I can stop it. And
that's heroic. That's heroic. You had a chance.
That's just duty.
Yeah,
that's just duty. I was just doing my duty. I don't understand why others didn't fulfill their duty. I don't understand. Yeah. But I was prepared for whatever cost, and I still am.
Yep.
Because I love them. All of them.
But look at it.
I can't protect my own children if I can't protect everyone's children. It's the same thing. I realized I had to protect every child to protect my own children. It's true for all of us. And I don't know what happened to our love of family and our children, but I'm over it. I just note that, you know, this week we had in America, we had the first identified FDA vaccine deaths among children. And this is Ernesto, and this Ernesto Jr. and Ernesto. And I talked to Ernesto. He's a gorgeous guy, and his love for his son. It took forever. No one would wanted to talk to him about what had happened to his healthy boy, and now he's the first acknowledged death to the COVID shot in America. And to me, that's wonderful. And this is Marianne writing about it this week, which is, but 5 days after the COVID shot, while he was playing basketball, he just didn't come home. He dropped dead on the court. His heart was twice the size of. Sorry, it's not the positive note we were hoping, but it's positive that it's acknowledged now. You see, and that was the thing that and then the Hep B just the other day, the Hep B vaccine. How many times, Michael, was I saying? They're giving this shot to babies just after they're born. It makes no sense. They studied it on 147 kids for 5 days, and they're calling it safe, and then they give it to billions of babies. This is fucking insane. Well, they've revised that just the other day.
But you imagine, I mean, all of you imagine just for a moment, and it won't happen, but if we were all suddenly put on our deathbeds, and I had that experience, I once told you about a near-death experience, Michael, and I was leaving this planet, and you see all this squabbling and all this waste of time, and where I was, it just felt like absolute unconditional love. But I know that no matter how imperfect, and there could have always been more that I could have done, but I've given my best in the last 5 years to help, to make it a better world, to stand up where bravery was called for, to find those like Barry who need that support and are being brave and are being bullied and being unfairly treated. And we've each of us in our little corner, and there are thousands of you out there watching Café Locked Out, thousands, millions of you across Australia who in your quiet ways are willing to stand now and say no to tyranny and do what it takes. And that is such a gift of this lifetime, I think, to be able to die and go, I actually like myself. I like what I've done in this life, because I would feel that. I would. It's not perfect, but I was as gutsy as I could be. All three of you have done the same. You've all gone through hell and you've all stood up. What's my saying? Knock down 7 times, get up 8. You've all done that, and you've all gone out and tried to make it a bit better for somebody else, and you've all faced your own fears and inadequacies, and you've kept going anyway. And to thousands of you out there who support and love Café Locked Out, keep doing it. And just quietly say no when this tyrannical American Karen tries to silence you, and go out to pubs and link up and do what Robin was talking about, have conversations and realize they can never hurt me, control me, have any power of me unless I allow them to, and I will not allow that. That's how I'd end this show. Robin, what about you?
That's how we end the show. No one saying anything. Okay, you're not going to like This is we're going out with Epic now. This is a tribute to Epic. So this is my footage of people crossing the bridge. This is my lyrics about AI music, but this is a celebration of Epic. But it also goes to all the marches we went to. I found great brothers and sisters in the early marches of Melbourne. I still love that time. Anyway, good night, Robin.
And say a prayer for Barry Young on December the 11th that he wins.
Yeah.
Thank
Liz,
you.
Great to see you. Great.
Lovely to see you guys, all of you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you for all the comments too.
Yeah,
Good to see you, Robin.
See you.
Bye, Paul.
Love you, Robin. See ya.
We came down from Darwin with the dust in our veins. We drove across the Nullarbor, driven by change. There were convoys from Melbourne and busloads from Cairns, where we camped at Wodonga and fueled up at Pheasant's Nest. And there were tears of hope singing through our liberated eyes as we scrawled freedom forever across our government's lives, as we scrawled freedom forever across all our government's lives. And we didn't come to start a war, and we didn't come to hate. Instead we came to remind you that we were still your mates. And we didn't come to start a war, and we didn't come to hate. Instead we came to remind you that it was not too late. But our country had gone crazy, corrupted by fear. And before us the long path was already flooded with tears. Yet in epic we were dancing, for we knew what we'd done. Together we'd made the birth of all our freedoms. And this new cry for liberty were the smiles in our hugs, as the cops haunted our periphery like tyranny's new thugs. But for one night in Canberra we knew we were aglow, and our luminance was shining like a beacon of hope. And we didn't come to start a war, and we didn't come to hate. Instead we came to remind you that we were still your mates. And we didn't come to start a war, and we didn't come to hate. Instead we came to remind you that it was not too late. So never forget how, by just being authentic, we drew a deep line in their cold sand, from a showground called epic. So never forget how, by leading the way, we wrote a fresh song of freedom that you can still sing today. So sing like you've never sung before. Sing now like your soul's found its wings. Sing out like an echo through our time, until our grandchildren are born humming our lines. Until our grandchildren are born in the freedom's warm and glorious light. Until our grandchildren are born in the freedom's warm and glorious light.